You're listening to Seattle Real Estate Podcast.
I'm Sean Reynolds, the owner of Summer Properties Northwest, Reynolds & Klein Appraisal, and your host of the Seattle Real Estate Podcast. Today I have with me, I think, our only land buying broker for builders for Summit Properties Northwest. His name is Amin Shariat. Amin,
hi,
welcome
guys.
to the podcast.
Happy to be here.
Yeah.
Pretty exciting. This is my first podcast I've ever been on.
Excellent. Well, welcome. And I've always enjoyed talking with you. And the reason I wanted to have you on today is we're going to hit up what's going on with builders during the pandemic. And you do a lot of business with builders. That's your main gig.
Yeah.
Is buying land and then on the other end, selling finished product. So Tell me how you got into this crazy business.
So my dad kind of, I don't really know the whole story, but he kind of started the whole townhouse thing. With
Your dad's Med
Shariat, yeah.
Yeah.
He kind of started the whole townhouse thing with a few other guys, and Dan Duffus.
Yeah.
A name that
long time Seattle broker, land guy.
Well,
wasn't
Dan
was he a developer?
All conversations go back to Dan.
Yeah.
Dan's a developer. He started as a title rep at First American.
Okay.
Built up a huge business of title there with Mike Stanwood. They were best buds.
Okay.
Right? And then Dan wanted to get into development. I think he started finding these little loopholes and stuff that he would exploit in neighborhoods like Queen Anne and Tangletown and Green Lake and stuff, where you could find like
all Seattle neighborhoods, Seattle proper neighborhoods.
Right. And they would find a historical lot that was platted at some point in the, could have been the early 1900s up to like the 50s, I think the mid 50s. Tried reading through the code to understand it a little better, and it's pretty tough to kind of parse all the rules and stuff that go around it and kind of understand it, which is kind of what made him, such a huge success, is because he could understand things in the code, and he could actually find these little hidden lots where all of a sudden like a 3-story house was going up in somebody's backyard.
Yeah.
So he built kind of a bad name doing that, but he made quite a bit of money, and he got a lot of other builders started doing that. He kind of built his own little cabal, I guess, of, builders and stuff that he would line up with properties as the liaison between, regular builders who just, write checks and point and make sure everything gets done and make the the kind of crucial decisions that you need to make in a project, how many units, what kind of appointments you're going to put in, and this and that. Anyways, my dad was kind of with all those guys in the late 90s and early 2000s, and he made a lot of money doing that. And he would be basically out looking for land, mostly for Dan, but a few other guys that he worked with. And then they would build them out, and after they were done, kind of the trade was that you would get the list backs for all the stuff they built. And so it became a pretty lucrative business for him pretty quickly. And then growing up, I just was exposed to all that kind of by osmosis. And then I went to University of Washington, and I graduated in 2013, and there was nothing.
Heart of the recession.
Yeah, nobody wanted me.
Great recession.
Sure. Ain't nobody wanted to hire me. That's for sure.
So you thought, well, let's just get my real estate license.
I thought I'm going to
give that a run.
$35,000 or $40,000 a year making cold calls for somebody, right? Terrible work. Get there at like
brutal
6, 7 in the morning, and you're just calling off of Google Maps, just calling businesses off of Google Maps, trying to sell them. I think I was trying to sell ad space on like local news websites. So not even the TV ads. We're talking about like the banners and things on like the Cairo 4.
You're that annoying phone call people get, and they're like, no, I don't want this.
Do you want to advertise in the news? And then they find out more that it's the banner pop-up on the local news website, right? It's pretty niche stuff that, I don't know, maybe old folks are looking at or something. But, I didn't believe in the product at all. Most things you have to sell these days, you can't believe in the product. There's no margin in anything anymore. But
or it's certainly slim, and even slimmer with the coronavirus.
Yeah. The coronavirus.
Yeah.
I thought we had big problems before. And now all the things that we've been able to just kind of coast over, just barely making minimum payments, we've yet to see what is going to come down.
What's going to happen, and that's what I've been talking about.
Well,
for
all the
weeks.
defaults are on hold right now, right?
Yeah,
but at some
we're
point,
not in reality yet.
I think it'll take 6 months
Yeah,
too.
that's kind of what I've been talking about.
And the frustrating thing about that is when we have nothing to do, we're stuck at home. I've been watching the news, like, reading the news, checking in CNBC just religiously, waiting for big things to happen because I'm bored.
Yeah.
And these things are going to take 6
months. As is everybody else.
I know, man.
Yeah.
End of March, though, was great. I mean, every day it was like a new...
It was a new drama.
It was a new drama. We were making bets in the stock market. We were wrong, a lot of the time. Stayed in trades too long. That was kind of fun because there's so much stuff happening that you could be proved wrong or right within 24 hours.
And depending which network you're watching.
I guess. Yeah.
You could go far left, far right, and you can get your answer. Yeah, you could get your answer. But
financially, it was kind of fun just kind of betting on what was the next shoe to drop or what, I don't know. But I found the trading has not been a good idea.
Okay. So you've been trading for lack of other kind of business for your niche going on.
Right. There's not a lot of real estate selling right now. So just kind of thinking, how can I position myself during this crisis to not become poorer when everything's said and done, right? Because I'm, probably more worried than most people about like the U.S. dollar and inflation and popping asset bubbles and things like that. We work in a pretty big asset class. Some people say a bubble. I would agree. Real estate.
Yeah.
And I guess it depends on which market you're in. But I mean, to jump into what the builders are thinking.
Let's go back to so 2013. You graduated from UW. Nothing going on. You're doing some cold calling sales. Got your real estate license. When did you actively start selling then?
Well, 2013, got the real estate license, and I started working for my dad.
Okay.
After going through a string of just kind of crappy jobs. I think at one point I was valeting cars just for cash.
Okay.
So I worked for my dad as his assistant for about a year and a half, and my dad did land that whole time. So I was involved.
Coming out of the
recession.
Yeah.
And actually it was a great time to do land, 2013, 2014. At the time, we were all worried we were going to have a double-dip recession. I mean, at no point in my career has anything ever looked good. There's always been a massive risk. Somebody's always had something
hanging over the marketplace.
Something's always been hanging over, whether, whether it's debt or the double dip or the...
interest rates going crazy.
Or I can't even remember them all. But there was always something where you're on the phone with the builder trying to convince him to roll the dice on this property, right, at this price level, because they're always looking to cut price, right? And if you can try to avoid cutting price, it might save you that deal. Because cutting price, you lose most of your deals, right? I mean, you're playing a numbers game, right? Hoping that you can actually get somebody to capitulate to a level where, man, I would buy the property at that point. It's pretty bad, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's do what you got to do, and that has become a super competitive niche to be in.
It's almost, it's when my dad was doing it in the early 2000s, there was a lot of other business going around. You didn't have to be in land to make good money in real estate. So there weren't 500 agents calling the same properties, sending letters, tying stuff up at prices that are crazy.
Yeah, so let's walk through that process. So what's the basic process for a guy like you who works with developers, who build their own product? What do you look for in a piece of land? And what areas do you work, like geographically? I know mainly Seattle, right?
Right. Well, you start with the builder that you have the best relationship with, because you're going to need a lot of their help and ultimately their approval in order for you to make any money. So you kind of go to your assets that'll pick up the phone when you call, people that will give you advice or tell you why things do or don't work. Because a lot of the time you bring a property to somebody, especially if they're pretty big, and they'll just tell you no or pass, right? As opposed to here's why, or here's the price that would actually work for that. Here's why it doesn't work in that situation. Here's something that would work. You don't learn too much. And that's kind of the biggest challenge with land. It's kind of learning, what you can do with a property and then what it's worth, right? And being able to do that calculation from start to finish, because that knowledge is really hard won. I mean, it's tough to read the code. We've been trying to do it actually the last month or so. I mean, more so in April. Gotten a little bit.
Seattle is super complex.
Very complex.
I mean, in order to figure that out, you basically have to have followed that market for a while.
Long time.
Long time.
It changes, too.
And it changes, yeah. And you got to, there was some commercial stuff where you have to have overhang now appropriate for the homeless to be able to sleep under. And commercial stuff, first level commercial stuff, and I was like, "This is crazy."
So the two things you're talking about there, one is land use code, and the other is the building code. I haven't even gotten into the building code. I mean, that's an entire another title, Title 22, I think, of the Seattle Municipal Code. Land use is a separate Title 23, which is the one we've been trying to work through, but it's like probably over 2,000 pages.
That's some fun nighttime reading.
Fun nighttime reading, like legalese, clearly written by planners and or lawyers, and things it's like you have to find the one that's that all the other contradictions refer to. So, because there's all these different exceptions and things for all the different rules, and they're in different locations in the code, so you don't read it right after you read the one before it, and it's just how somebody learns all of that and stays on top of it without doing projects themselves, actually talking with the architects whose job it is to actually learn all those and keep up to date with them. It's pretty tough to learn. So if you're an agent trying to sell land, to figure out all these different parts of the code to actually make you useful to that builder is pretty tough. It takes a long time. And then, unless you want to just be the agent who just brings property straight to the builder and he just goes, no, and you just bring a bunch of garbage continuously.
So just the shotgun approach.
The shotgun approach, which I don't know if it's going to work anymore for if any new agents want to do land, because there's just so many agents doing it. I think builders are going to defer to the now large handful that actually do know, that could probably do a project on their own, and some of them actually are pretty easily with just what they've already picked up and know. They're basically builders, a lot of these agents now. And so, in order to compete with them, it would be very challenging. You would have to do a lot of homework and research and probably spend some money even just
figuring it out.
Yeah, I mean, there's nobody really out there to coach you. There's land use coaching at, the city of Seattle, but they're like top level stuff to coach you through some big ideas in like 5 or 10 minutes. Not the minutia.
There's
would
some
actually
broad
kill the deal.
Spectrum type stuff.
Right, and you can ask them questions that are like really detailed, and they'll be like looking through the code themselves to try and answer it for you. And they'll find an answer that you've already seen, but that's not the real. Somebody higher up actually knows the intricacies of that. And it's all in the nuance that your deal gets killed. Because if you're building 5 houses instead of 6, that might have been the entire margin of the project.
That's your whole profit margin.
Right, and you have to be at a higher price then, and we all know that the market's weaker above $800,000 than it is, selling a townhouse, and different neighborhoods have different thresholds, but West Seattle, it's like $550,000.
Let's talk about your last project. You have a closing happening today. Today is May the 13th. You've got one closing somewhere between now and like 3 o'clock, right?
Something like that.
And it's your last piece of inventory in West Seattle.
Yep.
And as we know, anybody in Seattle, the West Seattle Bridge has a big crack in it.
Yeah.
And it's been shut down. So anything in West Seattle, tough to sell.
Yeah, what do you know about that, by the way, Sean? What have you heard?
Not a ton. I'm going to do a podcast on it. I'm going to do it from the standpoint of what kind of impact short-term will this have on value, what kind of impact long-term will it have on value.
Right.
I haven't really got into it because it just hasn't been on my radar.
Yeah.
And I heard from somebody that they may not open that back up.
No. Well, I thought they're not going to.
Like
from last I've heard, it's going to be closed for 2.5, 3 years.
But no, they're talking permanently.
Oh, no. Really? I haven't heard that.
I heard that, and I was like, how could that be?
So it's going to be a tunnel or something?
I don't know. Yeah, something like that. And so for those of our listeners who don't know, West Seattle is a neighborhood to the southwest of downtown Seattle, and it's geographically very difficult to get to if the West Seattle Bridge, which comes off of I-5, which is our main north-south arterial throughout the Puget Sound region, if West Seattle Bridge is closed, you're hosed.
Right.
And I've always told people over the years, West Seattle is great. It's got lots of cool views of the Olympic Mountains and Puget Sound. But if the West Seattle Bridge, the one kind of real way in and out, is closed, you're hosed.
Yeah.
You're hosed.
Well, and I don't think anybody really believed that because the market in West Seattle was just as strong as the markets anywhere else. I mean, you could buy...
Well, I think it was stronger because it was more affordable and it had more amenities.
Yeah.
on a bang for your buck, West Seattle was right up there.
You did get a good bang for your buck.
Yeah.
That's true.
Until now, I mean.
Yeah.
Because.
Well, I mean, yeah, now things are entirely different. But I mean, like, say 6 months ago, yeah, West Seattle was kind of a better bang for your buck.
It was. And I've spent so many years appraising. I spent, 30 years on the road appraising.
Yeah.
And if the West Seattle Bridge was shut down and you had to get to an appointment in West Seattle, that means you had to go way somewhere on the south end.
And I never had to do that, so I was never exposed.
So I've had to do that so many times.
Okay.
And back then, you're not looking at GPS. You are following the radio.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is and this is look at your Thomas Brothers map and figure out your route, because otherwise you're not getting around. You don't have a cell phone. You're listening to the radio. West Seattle Bridge is shut down.
That was the thing. My dad was always really good with directions. He
you
could
have
get
to
anywhere.
Be. You
and
have to
nowadays,
be.
like everything, I punch it right into the Maps app, which then shows on a little screen in my car.
Right. We had to learn how to get around and if the Thomas Brothers map was incorrect, you kind of file that away in the back of your head, and you're like, I'm not doing that mistake again.
Right.
Because the map wasn't always right.
That blows my mind.
Yeah.
Is there as much construction back then as there is now? Just things were
things were way more wide open, but as it was being developed, as it was being built out, the mapping was like, it wasn't always accurate.
Right.
And so you'd get out to these places and you get out to a home that's a year old. Maybe the map wasn't right. Mm-hmm. And, you're late for an appointment and the people are pissed off and you're like, yeah, not on the map. And they're like, mm-hmm.
Right. People forget that, real estate agents are looking at, like, I don't know, it depends on the day, but it could be 5 or 6 houses that day, or you're talking about 5 or 6 different houses. And so it's tough to... I always try to hide it, but it's just another house for me. Really has very little value to me when I'm looking at it.
It's an asset. It's an economic asset.
I hate to break anybody's heart, but they're all the frickin' same.
Yeah, well, especially in your market,
all built the same
those
stuff.
Boxy homes. So as an appraiser,
people like to think some homes are better than others, but it's just
this is my unique snowflake of a home.
Right.
As appraisers, we got pretty excited when the Boxy new construction started coming out because we had like 2 measurements. Side, front.
Yeah, that's right. You guys have to actually measure square footage.
And you talk about that versus a 5,000 square foot offset angled 1989 Buchan out in Redmond, Buchan home out in Redmond.
With the angles and everything.
With all the angles that you needed an angle tool to measure. And then you get back to the office and your sketch wouldn't work out.
Oh, shit.
So you just have this...
Trigonometry wouldn't add up. Huh?
Yeah. And so you got really good at that. And so when these boxy new construction homes, which are all the rage now, with flat roofs, when those started coming up, give me those all day long.
Yeah, I wonder, maybe it's just because of how dense everything is now that you have to maximize 90-degree angles.
It's urban land economics.
Because the code is written in terms of 90-degree angles.
Yeah, square lots, right?
Yeah. And everything is a setback from a side, so it still creates squares or rectangles, right?
And that's where the whole concept of getting your
maximize square footage,
your car in a 90-degree angle on a limited driveway.
I know all about that, man. That's not the fun
Those
facts.
Are terrible.
Man. I got all that.
Downtown living. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So what are your...
I've been in a couple, just a quick side note, I've been in a couple of these new construction houses where the cars don't fit in the garage.
Yeah.
And they built the garage anyways. I think to try and sell it? I don't know.
But this is a one-car garage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Genuinely just gets the car in, and then I don't think you can open the doors.
You get like a Mini Cooper in.
Right.
You get a motorcycle in.
Right.
But not a real-size car.
No. And I think, boy.
Yeah.
There's a project on Fremont right now that is...
They want some kind of covered parking.
Should keep an eye on that one.
They want some kind of parking. They want something to stick their cars in.
Yeah.
Stick their stuff for their lack of their yard tools.
I think what happens is you buy a property, you pay too much. You have some agents feeding you property, right? And he might be a big agent, right? And you can't be saying no to too much stuff because he'll bring that property elsewhere. You end up buying crap property, right? And then you're trying to panic, trying to figure it out, we need parking here because it's Fremont Avenue or something, you know what I mean? And
there's no street parking.
And our last project that we did no parking is eating it right now. It's hard to sell these units. We're cutting price. That was kind of what hit us all in about 2018, 2019 was that, building these no parked units, you almost don't make more money even though you can squeeze, instead of 8 units with parking, you can do 12, which in theory, even if you had to cut price, you cut your margin a little bit on each unit, you'll still make more money, right? We're finding that isn't the case.
So it's a wash.
It's a wash.
So you get an extra unit or so,
because you can sell them faster.
Right. Yeah, everybody wants a spot for their car. If they're going to pay $900,000 for a townhome unit in Seattle, they kind of want a garage, and they kind of want one they can get their car into.
Yeah, but we're thinking down in the 6s and the 7s. You need to have parking for those too.
Let's go back to that closing. It's happening today.
Right.
That was a unit in a really tough market now.
Yep.
But you're getting that closed. So you got out of a project. You sold out a project right at the
good timing.
I mean, amazing timing.
Well, we got 11 of them really. We actually moved probably 8 of them before things really got bad.
Okay.
And 3 of them moved as things were starting to get bad. Now, that was pretty unbelievable because it was like, who is buying these houses right now with so much uncertainty? And people really believe in this market. I don't. It's the same way, in every market cycle, near the mature end of it, you get people paying prices that you look back and you go like, what were they thinking?
Yeah.
Saw a lot of that in 2007. You would go back and just say, that guy was the peak.
And
that was the peak buyer.
On the appraisal end, you can identify that peak buyer.
Right.
Because they're wanting you to get the value back to that peak number because that's what they paid. And you have to tell them, yeah, that's dropped 5% since then. That's
really
dropped 10%.
Too.
Yeah, they don't want to hear that.
No.
But it is what it is.
Well, people's wealth isn't really going up otherwise, right? It's just inflation of assets like real estate or stocks or things like that. People aren't really per se being paid more. Doesn't seem like wages have gone up
Not to the extent the inflation of real estate has.
So that's the wealth effect is going to be all the assets going up. So if that one thing that's working for them stops working for them, it's almost like telling them their assumptions on life were wrong. You know what I mean? And they'll fight you on that.
Or that they were dumb to buy when they did.
Of course.
And that's, there's always that. What do you think about the fact that we're in like a 15-year super cycle? I hear that from a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, it's just all Fed money, isn't it? Low interest rates, stimulus.
Yeah.
The Fed put.
Look at the 10-year bond. I mean, it is just...
Yeah.
So crazy.
But I mean, and we're just defying gravity, right? But
we're going to pump as much money into that bad boy.
10 years, you know what I mean? Like, what am I going to do? Not sell property? People are buying it. What if I'm wrong? Things keep going up. So,
and so much of our stuff here is based on employment.
Right.
We do
have that going for us.
The jobs coming in.
Couple things though to that employment story. I mean, Boeing's being absolutely gutted right now. And it's a large employer of over $100,000 a year jobs for us. So I mean, and then as everybody else,
where do those guys live?
Some white collar jobs.
Where do those guys live?
Well, here in Seattle and around, right? Bellevue and Mukilteo. A lot of them live up north.
So you see, a lot of them live way up north, and a lot of them live way down south.
Right.
So all the tech jobs are coming here,
right,
into the core areas.
But people are living. That's another important piece of information is that there used to be a pretty big difference between core Seattle prices and the outerlying neighborhoods. It used to be like Seattle would be up here, and then it would really lower and flatten out when you get up to Everett and Tacoma.
North and south.
Now this curve is really flattening.
Yeah.
Tacoma's here.
It's just
Seattle's just a little bit above it.
It's just expensive everywhere.
So I think that there's a clear cutoff at around $750,000 to $800,000 where there's a massive amount of buyers that can actually afford under $750,000. And then there's just a handful. And they have all the choice in the world because everybody wants over $1 million now for their property. You got like 10 buyers fighting over 50 properties above $800,000. So I think at some point that's gotta. I mean, what does that mean? That means that we don't actually have that many high-paying jobs above the $120,000 a year threshold. We got a lot of those, right? But we need people making $250 to be able to support the second half of that market, which goes from $800,000 to $2 million. Past $2 million, it's all business owners, right, or people that created something themselves or inherited money, not somebody really making a salary, right? Above $2 million. But between $800,000 and $2 million is your vice presidents and your CFOs and things like that of like smaller companies.
And what you're talking about is what Amazon is moving from Seattle into downtown Bellevue.
Right.
Those are those jobs.
Right.
And that's why this area here where our office is just getting blown up.
Yeah. You guys are smart to be focusing on the east side.
It's the east side. Yeah.
Seattle's really lagged big time behind the east side in the last 5 or 6 years. And just better quality of life out here.
That's the main thing, is the different quality of life.
Oh, yeah.
It's it's wildly different. So it's crazy. All right. So what are your builders thinking throughout this whole pandemic? Initially, the builders
changes week to week.
Yeah.
But yeah,
initially they were shut down. Residential was shut down. What did they think about that versus the fact the government construction was still going on?
You know, I didn't even know. I thought all construction was shut down.
No.
That's right. Government construction was.
It just rolled on through.
Personally, because it was like, they're going to finish some of these things while they're not blocking traffic while we're at home anyways. But it's kind of nice.
Yeah, but you're talking about schools and stuff that it wasn't crucial to finish them.
Huh.
You just had the government workers keep going.
There's just so much stuff, so much news now. It's like, that's unbelievable.
Yeah. And the residential guys are like, hey, wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
We're building housing, which is one of the essential human needs. You need a roof over your head.
For sure.
Right?
And we need as much housing as we can get.
And we've got a massive supply issue. Yeah. And so that's what I've spent a lot of time on, is talking about, hey, we've got fewer buyers in the marketplace, but you've also got fewer homes.
Yeah.
And so our residential stuff is flying off the shelf right now.
Yeah. Versus commercial stuff, which you can't get rid of.
Units on either side of our office space here.
Going to be empty for a while.
Vacant.
Yeah. Yeah. Commercial that's no man's land right now.
Yeah.
Retail.
What do you think? What do you think? I mean, between
look at the Ave, man.
How about
storefronts are empty in the Ave right now?
Yeah, I was in downtown Seattle doing a run through, the waterfront area, Pike Place Market, just seeing what was going on. That area is so filled with small businesses dependent upon
foot traffic.
Yeah, foot traffic and tourists. And there's nobody there but a bunch of homeless people.
Yeah.
And it was just so sad. It's like, where is everybody? So what's that? How many of those businesses are just not going to reopen?
I think probably a third of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of them.
Yeah, a lot of them.
And they won't be filled by new people trying to start retail businesses, just because I think that nail is fully in that coffin.
And commercial real estate guys are still considered non-essential. Residential, essential.
How I feel about commercial real estate agents,
non-essential.
I would agree.
But think about all these businesses that need to make moves.
Right.
If their guys aren't, I think that's still correct. I know it was right off the bat.
Yeah.
And I know it has been for a while.
That's pretty interesting that they gave residential agents the thumbs up. A lot of this seems very arbitrary.
Well, a lot of that has to do with the National Association of Realtors too. They swing a pretty big bat. And so I think initially, I know they did the Johnny Hustle and got. What's funny is the appraisers.
They fund a lot of campaigns, right?
Yeah, so, that's what those NAR dues. Do you remember when you used to pay NAR dues?
I do.
Yeah,
$600 a year.
Yeah, now it's more. So what
is it really?
Yeah, what do you pay at Summit for NAR dues?
Zero.
Yeah, do you pay
Absolutely
any fees
nothing.
at Summit?
I pay no fees.
No, do you get some free video work?
I get a lot of free stuff at Summit.
And
Life's been good.
And you should take advantage of more video work.
I should.
You really should.
I have some good stuff, man. We could put on video.
Yeah. So let's talk about. So you are more of an old school guy, even though you're still a young guy. Are you still under 30?
Yeah, 28.
Yeah, so you got a while to go. So you don't like to do the
I might
Facebook
be wrong
thing.
about it, but I haven't done any Facebook marketing at all. And I've just.
But in your market, you haven't had to either.
No, and then doing land. I mean, nobody. You could do Facebook ads targeting just everybody, and I know that Alchemy does that.
Yeah,
and they use all sorts of bullshit to get around Northwest MLS. There are all these rules you can't cross when you're marketing. You can't say certain things. Anyway, so they have a landing.
It's a fine line.
It's a fine line, and a lot of it's whether or not you get caught and somebody really wants to put a case together against you. And oftentimes you find out it's not worth it, as we found out.
And I've had cases where we've gotten $500 fine, just boom, automatic, because hey, you guys promoted something on your Facebook page that wasn't active, and you said coming soon,
right? And
somebody turns you in. That's the downside of Facebook that in your business you don't really care about.
The thing for us that used to get us was trying to pre-market things on Zillow.
Yeah.
Because there was a coming soon feature
coming
for a
soon.
while, and my dad got hit with that one. And before kind of we all knew the rules. And that was kind of when we all learned them back in 2013 and 2014 is like you have a project coming on in about 4 months. People are driving by. They're excited. They're trying to call you or whoever because it's just that insanity was happening then. They wanted that corner unit. They were willing to pay whatever the price was.
Right.
Our prices were never insane either. They were always right in line with the market because that was the Dan Duffus way. It was just get your inventory out. Don't try and milk another $20,000 out of that townhouse. Yep. Just get rid of it.
Get it up and get it done.
Get the next project online.
Yep.
Move your cash.
Rotation.
Pay the bank back.
Rotation. And that lessens your exposure as well.
Right. Nowadays, people are out there trying to take those swings for the fences. And everything is like, how many of these can we sell at the higher level? We're ready to cut lower. But
and by swings for the fences, we mean putting that price up there at such an exorbitant number that it's like, I'm going to kill it if I get
top
this.
End, right.
Yeah.
And you have 6 houses, too. So you're adding 6 houses to one block, which is a lot of supply for that one local area.
One immediate block.
For that one
and you've got all the other builders following you as well.
Correct. Because now, it's basically, as you set a new price level, everyone else looks at that. Builders look at that as a comp.
Yeah.
Even if it hasn't sold or if the response or the deals were ugly. Right? If you're at a high price, you're going to have buyers that have a lot of expectations, demands. It's messy, right? They want everything fixed.
Right.
They're going to complain about stuff. They're going to do kind of cliffhanger, type. I'm going to pull out if this doesn't happen. That kind of drama.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're $30,000 less, you're moving these houses. You're ready to let a buyer go in a second because you're at a good price.
And you've got somebody lined up right behind them.
Right. So reasonable, expectations are achieved on all sides and the transactions are smooth and great. The moment you start trying to push your luck, all of a sudden you get all the worst out of people throughout the whole process. And you end up paying for that $30,000 emotionally or physically with the amount of things that you have to do for them over the time.
Because most of your projects that I've seen, they've moved pretty quick.
Yeah, I have a great builder that I work with. And there's a couple other guys.
You want to give them a pitch?
Yeah, I work with Build Sound.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're out of Rob.
Out of Magnolia.
Yeah.
Another underrated neighborhood, as always.
Yeah.
Like West Seattle.
Well, that's because there's only kind of one way on the north end and one way on the south end.
It's still super underrated.
Yeah.
Magnolia shouldn't be 30% less than Queen Anne.
Isn't that crazy? You go past
less.
15th Avenue Northwest, and it's night and day.
It's crazy.
It always has been. And that's one
it's
thing
really nice out there,
in the appraisal business, that if you had one on Magnolia close to that line and you scooted across the street to Queen Anne.
Couple streets over, 13th or 12th.
If an underwriter knew the difference, they'd call you out on it.
For sure.
You can only use comps from Magnolia
Magnolia. Absolutely.
Whereas Queen Anne, different story.
That's interesting. I don't know all these little, there's little nuances in the appraisal, but there are tons of them, aren't there?
There's tons of them, and that's because I'm old and I've been doing this for a long, long time.
It makes a difference.
And after you take that phone call where somebody just reams you out for using the wrong set of comps, you remember that. And you're like, yeah, I can go here, but I can't go there.
Well, and lately, and I don't know how it works out being actually in the appraisal business, but it's been like an arms race where it's like you can't be... Nobody really knows the true value of anything and haven't for like 10 years.
Yeah.
Because it's all froth.
We're throwing a dart.
We're all throwing darts within $100,000, right?
Yeah.
And what somebody is willing to pay for something varies widely. And obviously the craziest, most ambitious buyer gets the property, and that's the one who sets the comp, which is why we've had such a big jump in prices, is that you get these multiple offers and somebody who just has to have the house. And then they set the comp for that whole block.
And what's crazy about that is when we had a lot of foreign investor money, those were cash deals. So cash deals, no appraisal. There's nobody to tell them, hey, you overpaid. So as appraisers, we're like, we know that's a cash deal, and we know he overpaid. But, I mean, that's a cash deal.
It's a comp.
That's a comp.
No, and
somebody wrote a check for $2 million.
And if you don't appraise it at what those comps tell you to appraise it at, another appraisal company will, and it will be a legit comp. So appraisals, large and, by and large, don't get in front of what the buyer is willing to pay. And I've heard that number matters a lot. The offer price is a huge component of the appraisal. They actually take the offer into account.
And that's because that is because it is textbook market value definition.
Of course.
Willing buyer, willing seller. And then we look at days on market, and if that's short, and if we got a pretty big down payment, it's like, I mean, are you going to argue that?
Yeah,
I mean, some
it's like,
appraisers
that guy might actually know better in that one case,
Yeah.
because an appraiser's looking at properties all over the
All
city.
over- yeah. And
Whereas
if you
this guy's been looking in this area for 6 months or for 3 months. You know, he sees something you don't. I don't know.
And that does happen. Buyers who have been out in the marketplace sometimes know more than appraisers because they know the nuances. They do. And sometimes they know more than their broker because they are sitting at home
A lot of the time.
obsessing.
A lot of the time.
Yeah, obsessing about this.
Yeah, they're fixated on it for many months at a time.
Yeah.
And so they know every comp. They've been through all these houses.
they've been through them all.
They go through the open house. I mean,
Yep.
if there's one thing, any casual buyers that may stumble into this podcast, is to go look at a lot of houses, because you'll learn much more than you will anywhere else. You learn a lot. And it'll
Then
actually
sitting
make you a
there
better
on
buyer.
Redfin or Zillow.
Go see them. Go
armchairing
on
it.
Sunday
Yep.
Saturday or Sunday, and go look at them, because you'll
Yep.
learn. You'll understand then
Yep.
what the difference between two houses, and you'll be able to start putting a dollar value.
And going across that street,
On
which
those
is a
changes.
divide.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that, everybody's been pushing these virtual tours and stuff. And those are fine and all, but you can't smell the house.
You can't smell the house. You can't be in it. You
can't see
get
that-
a real feel for how big spaces are, how
Yeah.
they flow. I mean, it's like a
You
virtual
can't see the neighbor
tours,
across the street with the big RV that's broken down in the front yard.
It's maybe 10% or 20% of the way there. If you take a virtual tour, it's just enough for you to kind of understand how it's laid out
Yeah.
and what things.
It's better than nothing.
better than nothing,
Yeah.
but it's pretty damn close to nothing.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what buyers have been struggling with this whole pandemic is how do they get out and see stuff? And there's so many restrictions on all of this.
Yeah, and with the clients that I've been working with going up north, as I was saying before,
You've been
it's just
doing some
wearing
residential stuff. Yeah,
wearing the mask the whole time.
Yeah.
You're driving in a car for an hour sometimes, and you just mask on the whole time. You're wearing gloves from the last house that you were in. It just
awkward.
Yeah, and some houses have they've got the little thing for the booties, and they're individually packaged with like your own set of booties and gloves.
Yeah.
And you're just supposed to take
One
that,
time.
pop it out, and then throw them out.
Yeah. It's a weird world.
It's a weird world.
Yeah.
That we're living in right now.
Yeah. What are your so you're basically out of inventory. You're working on
Yeah.
some other normal residential
Just
stuff,
regular,
non-new
yeah.
construction. What are your builders? What are your clients thinking about moving forward? Like post pandemic when things kind of
Well, builders are getting pretty nervous. Well, they were more nervous in April than they are now, and that's
Yeah.
the thing. Is we're all.
Do you think that's true?
We only remember the last 2 weeks.
Yep.
Because I don't think any of us. I mean, I straight panic at the end of March.
Yeah.
I mean, the market did like a 1,200 point down day, like 2 days in a
Yeah.
row or something. It was
That
just
was
nuts.
pandemonium.
That was pandemonium, and
Yeah.
that was what I expected, right? I was like,
Yeah.
we got a lot of debt in the economy, and we have stop payments for a month.
Yeah.
Like this is what should be happening,
Yeah.
right? And then the Fed comes in with
Just guns blazing.
Right, guns
You
blazing.
see, yesterday they started the ETFs. They started funding.
Oh, yeah, I saw
corporate
that.
bond.
Yeah.
they're buying junk
bonds. Yeah, they're the
They're-
buyer of last resort.
They are propping up the entire market.
Well, and it's doable now when it's just corporate junk. And I mean, what else are they buying? Treasuries, right?
Yeah, oh,
corporate
yeah.
junk and treasuries.
Like there's no
But wait till we
tomorrow.
start having some leaks in other markets too. It's like how many dollars can you print, and what do you save? Do you save the
they can
stock
print,
market,
like,
or do you save the U.S. dollar?
They
I
can
don't
print like 6, 7, 8 trillion,
know. They can,
and they are.
And at some point, when the dollar takes a 10% hit, they're going to have to make a decision on whether they're going to keep risk assets up or stable, or they're going to preserve the value of the U.S. dollar.
But that's down the road a ways. I mean, we don't think about that.
We don't think about that
Yeah.
until one day we get a 5% drop in the dollar.
And then
that
it's
could
like,
be next
oh.
month. I don't know.
Yeah, so the Builder Index, the National Association of Housing Builder, whatever that is, Housing Index with Wells Fargo.
Yeah.
In the Northeast, it fell 45 points.
Oh, this is here.
Yeah.
This is local.
Yeah. No. This is nationwide.
Oh, okay.
So anything under 50 is considered negative. It's like, oh no, anything over a score of 50
Yeah, I
is
saw that
good.
index. Yeah.
And so in the Northeast, like New York, it fell 45 points down to 19. In the Midwest, it fell 42 points to 25. In the South, 42 points to 34. And here in the West, 47 points to 32 is the biggest drop in 35 years of the index. And basically just a bloodbath of lack of confidence on builders.
Yeah, and the typical margin in a new construction project is 15%. So
Is that here locally, or is that?
from what I understand here locally?
Okay, because
right?
that seems like a big
can't
number.
Get a loan if there's less than 15%.
Okay.
Built-in profit into your project. Now you would hope that there's cushion there to make a little bit more, so you have room to give back, or if you're wrong about things, right? You
Yeah.
need to have a little bit of cushion where you don't lose money.
An oops factor.
Sure. Like, we should have done 3 bedrooms instead of 2 bedrooms, and we should have only built 5 units instead of 6. Or, we should have gone with the small lot design, or doing no parking was a disaster, or whatever it is, right? You need to be able to screw up and still make a little bit of money, because it took you 2.5 years to do it. And
Yeah.
you moved heaven and earth,
To get it done.
100 plus people involved in building a townhouse project from start, probably maybe 200 from start to finish.
That is crazy.
A lot of jobs, a lot of
Yeah.
economic activity centers around us building new homes.
Yeah. And how many new homes are going to get built moving forward with this lack of builder confidence? Are they going to come back?
Thin, right?
Yeah, the margins are thin.
The reason confidence is down 47 points down to 32 is just because we could all see the market taking another 10% hit without even blinking. And if there's only 15% built into your average project, you're almost building for free in like a very likely or a very good chance scenario, right?
Do you think that'll happen? Do you think we'll have a 10% drop?
I was pretty sure of it in April, and now I feel less sure. But that's the thing, is we only remember the last 2 weeks.
Yep.
Watch the stock market take another 1,000-point day, and I'll be calling you saying it's going to go down 10% the day after.
Well, we've got a 500-point day going on right now.
We do.
Right before. And what was that due to?
600 points for a while this morning. It's come back a little. So I don't know. Can you see it? Can we take a look? I'm actually curious to see if it's turned around or if it's still heading in that direction.
I bet you it's still heading that direction.
Remember you were running CNBC on that TV?
Yeah.
550 right now.
Okay.
So it's still near the lows of the day.
Which isn't crazy bad.
Gold's up $10.
Yeah? Okay. Yeah.
Nothing crazy.
But look at what the stock market's done on the rebound. I mean, way back up. It's like the stock market doesn't know we have a pandemic going.
No, I think, here's what I think, is that the people aren't making money elsewhere, and so risk assets are it. If there's nowhere else to put your money, you just put it in there. And you just count on the Fed making sure that the stock market doesn't go down because Donald Trump needs to be reelected.
So you're talking about the stock market being basically the market of last resort.
It's all you can do to make money these days.
It's all you can do. Yeah. That is crazy. So what do you think moving forward? What do you think what changes will happen? Will any changes happen to construction, to the residential construction?
Well, here's the first thing you got to keep in mind is these builders build and it's their livelihood.
Yeah.
So they don't really have the choice of being like, well, the market doesn't look that great. What are you going to do? Go, work at a bar or something?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
A bar that may not open back up.
Sure.
Or opens
you have
back
a job,
up at 50% capacity.
You're a builder. That's your job, right? So you're going to have to pick the best project you can find. You have people that you have overhead, people that count on you. You have, you got to move cash, and that's your business, right? So you're going to build regardless. And I think the challenge is always trying to buy low enough where you can be wrong and still not lose your shirt, right?
Do you think the model that you work with your urban developers and builders, infill is homes all touching each other, all packed in?
Correct.
We've heard a lot of people talking about real estate's going to go to the rural neighborhoods because people don't want to be next to each other because of this. Do you think that'll change at all, or do we just kind of forget about it and move on?
I think the corona thing is going to look really overblown in about
I do too.
2 months.
Yeah.
And honestly, shutting down even at all.
I think it looks overblown right now.
It looks really bad right now.
Yeah.
I think that closing it all was catastrophic.
Yeah,
and it's going to actually be the start of a recession for us.
Yeah, we're in a recession right now.
We are in one right now.
No doubt.
But everyone thinks it's a V-shaped recovery where we're just going to come back. And the only reason they think that is because where else are they going to put all that money?
Yeah.
They have to believe in something. You don't make any money in treasuries.
Right.
You don't make any money, any safe money in bonds, in corporate bonds. So, I mean, where are you going to... That's it.
Yeah,
right?
You need an option.
You just got to pump. You got to pump all this money into something, and so the stock market is perfect because the Fed is making it clear they're not going to let it go down.
Yeah,
because Trump wants to be reelected, and he is focused on that stock market number as his barometer of the economy. I mean, it's not the economy,
that, and the unemployment, I believe, is driving him crazy.
Absolutely.
Greatest. Yeah. I mean, we're at 33.5 million have claimed first-time unemployment in the last.
Have you seen the charts? Look at the Great Recession. It's like a blip, right?
Yeah,
and then this is down
just
here.
Boom.
This was 08, 09. It was just a little boop.
Yeah. And I mean, these numbers are horrific.
Horrific. 20 million people. And, that was in the month of March, right?
Yeah, that was in March. That was the beginning.
Or was that April? Those were April's numbers for 20 million.
Maybe total.
Yeah, for the whole
April
month.
was the worst because it hadn't caught up in the second half of March.
March was 6 million or something.
Yeah,
4 or 6
it wasn't
million.
crazy.
Yeah.
It went like 6, 10, 16, 20, 26, 30, 34.
And the market has a 0.5% day going up. It's just
crazy. Our pricing year over year in Seattle is up year over year.
Yeah.
And
I believe it. Still under 2018 though. We still peaked in 2018.
Yeah.
We're still about 10% under that high.
And
I don't know if we'll ever hit that again.
And we've got some areas where it's 2017. We've got I mean, those are like numbers where we try, when people buy, like I said, when people buy and they bought at the peak, and then they're like 3 years later, how come my house is worth less? Because you overpaid.
Yeah, and we're looking at properties that builders bought that their banks are making them dump right now, and these builders want us to buy them out at or near what they paid for it.
Yeah,
and it's like, how do I tell you that you're an idiot? How would you like me to tell you, with an offer, or
not necessarily an idiot? Because idiot is a strong word. You made a poor financial decision.
Yeah, I mean, idiot is pretty harsh, but in construction, you're dealing with a bunch of people that are all pretty harsh.
Yeah,
it's just you're dealing with people that used to be plumbers, painters, framers that made it in a hard blue collar business, and then they started rolling their skills forward into building stuff that they've already been working on. Right?
How about the fact that builders, the guys on the job sites, the Washington State restrictions on them coming back to work basically surpass OSHA. They have to violate OSHA regulations to do what they're doing in today's new norm. That's a thing. Like, you can't come close to people, so there's safety factors where you got to pick something up super heavy, whatever. You can no longer do that.
Well, and they're doing it.
Those guys don't care.
To my sources.
These guys don't wear
masks. I can tell you for a fact that
they're just out building.
There are logbooks and stuff, and people have to check in, and gloves have to be worn, and this and that. But at the end of the day, it's just a bunch of
they're guys out there.
A lot of them are laughing at each other. You know what I mean?
And they're high-fiving.
They're high-fiving. They don't give a shit.
They do not care.
I mean, and honestly, I was going to get into this. There's an acceptable level of death in everything, and I think that we are well under what coronavirus. People are going to die from the flu. People are going to die from coronavirus. And we don't shut anything down.
No.
We shouldn't. People are going to die in airplane crashes, and they're going to die in car crashes. And we still drive.
Yeah, the thing I harp on is the most dangerous thing you're going to do in your day is get behind the wheel of your car, turn the ignition on, put it in drive, and get on the road.
Yeah.
Statistically.
By far. Yeah.
By far.
It's going to kill more people for all of us than anything else. Probably more than cancer. Well, maybe not. But I mean... It's on that level, right? And there's an acceptable amount of loss in everything. And I think a lot of it is virtue signaling. A lot of it is it's all political, right? And so...
Because we've never shut down the economy for anything.
No. And
ever.
Also, how unprepared we were, or how little we knew about it, is probably why we overreact in such a big way. And the CDC seriously shit the bed on this.
And we didn't have a game plan.
Holy cow.
There's no game plan.
Those guys were terrible. I mean, I got to the CDC really screwed this up. One job. Those guys had one job.
One job. Yeah, that's their thing.
That was their thing.
Yeah.
And they got the testing wrong for a month. Man, how hard could that... You guys all went to...
Well, how about
I assume Duke and Harvard and Notre Dame and stuff. And
how about the World Health Organization tweeting out
I don't even want to get into the World Health
that it can't go from person to person? That it's not transferable.
Oh, dude,
they tweeted that out.
I don't know what's going on there, but China's paying somebody's bills.
Yeah. So we're still shut down.
Taiwan's not a country anymore, according to the WHO.
Yeah, and we're not funding the WHO.
Oh, you know what? I mean, I got to hand it to Trump on a few things. He's got balls. So lines that other people wouldn't be willing to cross, that a regular person would go, that's reasonable to hold these people accountable. He's like, we're going to sue China. I don't
And now he's going off the rails on the whole Obamagate thing. That is just another diversion.
I haven't read too much about that. I did read a little bit about it, but I mean, it just sounds like I think everyone's just tired.
Everybody is tired of the coronavirus too.
Yeah, I think we're all ready to move on.
We're all ready to move on.
Yeah.
So people are doing that. What is the thing?
I think the news media won't stop until they have made themselves entirely irrelevant. They won't give up on pushing any sort of political angle.
If it leads, it leads.
And it'll be YouTube will be our news source going forward.
Well, they're pulling content left and right, and on every one of our videos,
they can't keep doing that.
On every one of our videos that we talk about the coronavirus, we get a CDC sticker thing on there so that people can get the real information.
Right.
You no longer have a boat. Oh, you do have a boat.
No, I was going to sell it and just... it's a pain in the ass. It'd be impossible to sell now, for one.
Yep.
And
what is your boat?
It's a 28-foot Sea Ray Sundancer.
Okay.
2001.
Yeah.
So it's...
Does that have like a big bow?
Yeah. So it's a day boat or a day yacht.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like an overnighter.
So no cabin.
Overnight it, but it's pretty much rough in it.
No galley, no head.
It's got a galley and a head.
Oh, it does.
But that's, so the back half is open.
Yep.
It's got the cockpit and the, probably 8 seats.
Yep.
And then you can go down. The front half is covered, so you can sit up on the bow if you wanted to. But there's a V berth in the front with a little table. There's a side table, for like eating breakfast and stuff. And then over on that side, there's a little kitchen, and next to it, there's a vacuum flush head.
Okay.
So it's got everything
it's
you
set
need,
up.
and everything works, which is great. I mean,
and the reason I bring that up, real estate wise, is because you've done tours on it.
That's right.
So you take people around.
Yeah. To operate it as a business.
Yeah.
So in addition to...
And you charge.
That's right.
How much can you charge for like a tour?
$60 or $70 a head.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is there alcohol involved there? Or?
It's BYOB because I don't have a liquor license, so I can't provide any or sell any or anything like that.
What about
people
food?
People are allowed to bring their own refreshments.
Yeah.
Food as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you literally just provide the
pet.
tour?
Yeah. I just drive around, point out things, and talk a little bit about what I'm pointing at and driving by.
What are people looking to go see?
Not a ton, but
where do they want to go? What do they want to see?
Gasworks, South Lake Union.
Yep.
We go up the Ship Canal, up to the locks.
Okay. Which are currently closed.
Right, and then we'll go back through Portage Bay, and sometimes we'll go through the Cut and do a little bit of Lake Washington, but I do a 2-hour tour.
Okay.
So there's at a reasonable speed. Most people are just hanging out anyways.
Right.
So
they just
pointing out the different bridges,
the
drawbridges that open, and a few fun facts here or there. But
like how many tours can you do in a season?
I mean, I could do 2 a day.
Okay.
And for a while last summer, it was like 3 a week, 3 or 4.
And do you have help or just you?
I would do it just me.
Okay.
Yeah, I had no help. I don't think I had help on any of them, to be honest. But
okay.
It's kind of, I've gotten better at being able to dock it myself. Where I'm
that's a lot of work.
I've got
it's 28 foot, is that right?
28 feet,
yeah. That's not a small boat.
Not easy to dock on your own. Actually,
right, because you need somebody on the bow, basically.
Yeah, and on the stern.
And on the butt end.
Yeah, to be able to hop off and grab it, right? Because, oftentimes you've got momentum or wind or things like that, so you get real close to the dock for a split second. You have time for somebody to hop off and tie you off.
And there's no hopping off because there's only one Amin.
That's right. So often we'll co-opt some of the people on the boat into helping you, and they all love to do it, right? So hand somebody the little
Who
catch.
doesn't want to go out on a warm Seattle day?
Yeah, it's always the dudes. They're like, oh, I got it. Up on the bow? Yeah, I'm on it. Yeah, and their girlfriends are just,
they're just doing whatever.
Sipping on whatever.
Passed out in the back.
Right.
Waiting to get handed off to the dock.
Right, passed out. We haven't had anybody get that drunk yet. But you suppose you could in 2 hours.
And you have to have life vests for everybody, right?
Yeah, we have life vests for everybody. I have, like 14 or 15 life jackets.
Okay. So you could have enough for everybody to float in case you tank the boat. Yeah. Tell me about your band. You're in a band. You play a guitar, correct?
Play guitar in a cover band.
Yep.
We're a Smiths cover band.
Nice.
So,
okay. Yeah. Is this new? Were you Smiths before?
We started doing the Smiths probably about close to a year now.
Okay.
It was actually May of last year, so it's a year now. And we haven't been able to do any practicing the last couple months. But our studio, we have like a lease with a place where we use studio space.
Oh,
and we got drums there and amps and stuff. So we just bring our own stuff.
It's like soundproofed?
Soundproofed. Well, it's in Soto, so I mean,
nobody
you can
cares.
Be as loud as you want down there.
Yeah, right.
Plant across the street,
Just
typical. Musicians are always in the places that are most affordable and least likely to get bothered, right? Because musicians are often very poor.
Yeah, because it's art. One of the things I saw that was interesting was the Pyramid Brewery, the beer house.
Oh, the Rainier. The old Rainier. Yeah. I've been in there.
No, the one across from both of the stadiums in downtown.
Oh, Pyramid.
That got closed permanently.
Really?
Because they just looked at the margins on not having any major sporting events.
Right.
Until who knows when, probably 2021.
And they don't own that building.
Apparently not.
They're paying rent.
I'm assuming they're paying rent.
So, I mean, that's what's kind of where in the chain of payments, because some people are getting a pass right now. There's no evictions, right? So tenants are technically, you don't have to pay right now, and you're not going anywhere. But nobody's stopping the payments that the landlords are having to make, and stopping them from calling their loans, and So, I mean, there's like a whole ecosystem of payments, and unless you stop them for everybody, that's going to be the domino that knocks the entire thing over.
Yeah.
It takes one domino,
it's so
and
interrelated. Yeah. I did a thing yesterday on mortgage forbearance. We know that the principal and interest gets passed through to the investor.
Right.
Taxes and insurance do not necessarily.
Right.
So property taxes, they fund all of your schools and all of your social programs.
Right.
What happens?
Those aren't being forbeared.
They're not being.
And if they are, it's just until it's over, and then that payment's due immediately, and whatever chunk you haven't paid. Nobody has a plan for extending all these things.
Well, that is one of the... So that's the lump sum that all the lenders want to have happen.
Well, that's wishful thinking.
It's not required.
Okay. Well, they're all going to try and ask for it because they're trying to convince their investors that they're going to be able to recover most of this money.
Well, the CARES Act dictated that the servicers got to do this for 4 months.
Right.
And the borrower can get 6 months of forbearance and then another 6. So you got a year.
So it's 12
there.
plus 4, so 16 months?
No, 12. So 6 plus another 6.
And that 4 is in that first 6.
The servicers are only on the hook for 4.
Okay.
So this is just going to be a cluster.
Right.
Because so many guys are not. So, I mean, what's the logic behind, 3 months of forbearance, and then on the 4th month, you make up all 4 payments?
You weren't getting paid during those 3 months. So it's not like you have a surplus of cash.
No. You went the other way.
No, and that's the thing is we only have the stage 1 plan, which is everyone can chill for now. But stage 2, we don't have a post-World War II economy full of savings. No. This is the 2020 economy where we're like leveraged to the hilt.
And we are a consumer economy.
Right. And we don't produce, we don't manufacture anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Except for Elon.
We do some food,
except
good.
For Elon Musk,
right.
Who is producing cars.
To be leaving California.
Right now.
Right. What a hero.
Well, I mean, he forced the hand of the governor, and the governor basically said, yeah, we're looking into that, and we're going to probably let you reopen up. And Elon's like, we're opening up now.
I think he really gets the ecosystem better than... That government thinks that he's replaceable, that Elon Musk is replaceable.
Right.
And Musk knows he's not.
Musk
it's possible to make cars in the United States. The fact that he's even doing it, he just knows.
It's incredible. His whole thing is that if you don't make stuff... there will be no stuff.
Yeah, I gotta watch that podcast.
Yeah, we're talking about the Joe Rogan podcast.
You guys should definitely watch that Joe Rogan. After watching this podcast,
watch the first podcast where they smoke weed and Tesla stock drops by 5%, and then the most recent one where they do it. I think they were drinking some kind of hard alcohol, but that's so.
They
standard.
usually do whiskey.
Yeah, whiskey or something like that.
Buffalo Trace.
Yeah, crazy. So what else? So what have you been doing? If you're not busy with real estate, what have you been doing with your time in the lockdown?
Well, we're still trying to. We do a mailer for the land that we go after.
So doing some marketing.
One of those. Yeah, I mean, it takes time to put those together.
Yeah,
I've been reading the code, trying to study, and largely just chilling.
Yeah, hanging out.
It's been pretty rough.
Yeah,
I read this morning that. They have there was an article about it. I think we could all, guess that was going to be the case. But mental health, been pretty big mental health fallout for people.
This is a whack. Yeah.
Right, because, if you can't think about anything but your own thoughts, people get dark pretty fast.
Yeah. You go off the rails.
Pretty easy to be depressed.
Super easy.
So I've had some trouble just keeping spirits up.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
Doing anything productive. Because sometimes you're looking at what's happening and you think, is there even a future?
Yeah. Why am I even bothering?
Right. Yeah.
Why am I even trying?
Exactly. Yeah, and costs are going to keep going up, and so.
And your rent doesn't go away, your mortgage payment doesn't go away, your car payment doesn't go away.
No, and we're still paying, for our music studio and things like, just because we know that I look at it, if you sign a lease, you're signing a lease.
It's a contract.
It's a contract that you need to fulfill.
You got to pay it.
Good times and bad.
But we're on the wrong end of that, though, because we understand what it means to not pay your rent and not pay your mortgage.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because we're in the food chain.
Well, yeah, you don't think that there are people out there that don't pay their rent or for whatever reason. But you see it, and then you realize how powerless you are as a landlord. If somebody chooses to not pay their rent, you realize that it all comes down to getting a good tenant, because if people choose not to pay you, in general in life, you have very little recourse unless you have deep pockets and you're vindictive.
And then you're going to have to spend to get there.
And spend a lot of money to get there.
You're going to go to war.
And you might not even recoup what you spent.
Yeah.
It's more about being right at that point, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't think anybody has, a lot of these settlements and judgments end up just putting people into some sort of, bankruptcy, right?
And the attorneys seem to do fine.
Attorneys do great.
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, you just realize if people don't pay you, you need to get rid of them as soon as you physically can, which takes a while.
Yep.
And then you need to find a new tenant that'll pay you. And all of a sudden, you lost a third of that year's income while still paying 100% of the cost.
There's your margin just gone.
More than that, because most people's margin, most people are making between 4 and 5% on their rental properties if they're lucky, and that's them skipping maintenance, doing things like they're,
So you take out a 1/12 of that, or more than that.
Third of it.
Yeah.
It is 4 months to get somebody out of your house.
Yeah. Brutal.
You shouldn't have even bought a rental property
and
at
longer
that point.
now.
You have one of those, the whole reason for buying a rental property is done.
Yeah.
You better hope that the market goes up.
You've got some appreciation.
The appreciation is the only other thing. If you don't have appreciation and your tenant stops paying, you may as well have been in cash.
Yeah. So are you in contact with your builders kind of through this?
Yeah, pretty regularly. And guys are still buying. But from day to day, everyone is first thing is just they try to make you feel their pain. So it's no, or this is happening, or that's happening, and then you're hearing a seller, go, well, I'm already looking at a price less than I looked at last year. So you just got aggrieved parties on both sides.
So it's a brutal environment.
Always, yeah. And for a deal to go through in land, it almost always feels like somebody got had, right? Either the builder paid way too much, or the buyers, sold it for what they could have sold it on the open market, and they're waiting 12 months. So
somebody got stuck.
Somebody had no choice, and somebody got lucky on one side. And it's not fun,
right? But it's what you do.
Yeah, and they don't pay you for doing anything that is easy, right? And you're trying to get property for your builder versus somebody else's, right? So,
do you have projects coming up? Do you have anything?
We do
coming on board.
Yeah, we have a project coming up in Blue Ridge that foundations were in about a month and a half ago, and then everything got stopped. But they're on construction again.
Okay.
For the most part, contractors are all showing up. Everybody's ready to work.
Yep.
With the extra coronavirus rules and stuff, but
Blue Ridge, that's a good neighborhood.
Great neighborhood, yeah.
Do they have views at all?
Kind of right, no. And so, we're like barely in Blue Ridge. We're kind of in between Holman there and Carkeek Park.
So not quite west enough to have views.
No, not quite. But it's kind of cool because we're on the back of Carkeek Park. And so these houses open up to like a greenbelt.
Greenbelt.
Yeah. And they're all single families, and they're kind of meant to look a bit more like, they're out in the woods. We're using earth tones.
Almost a rural setting away from the coronavirus.
As rural as you can get, being 10, 15 minutes away from downtown.
Yeah, being super 20. Close.
So it should be a good project. We're looking forward to that.
So you've got that to look forward to after all this. Okay.
Yeah, maybe beginning of next year. Things take longer than expected.
Because we're on the Summit side, we are seeing stuff fly off the shelf.
Yeah, market's hot right now.
Which is crazy because we are still in phase 1 of a pandemic.
Well, and
or are we? That's the question.
Right.
Yeah.
And I keep finding out how little I know every day because you hear things and you expect some logical response that never comes. And so what do you learn to do? You just learn to do nothing and just roll with it. Because
make adjustments.
All the rules that used to apply no longer do. Stock market doesn't go down when it's supposed to. Extrapolate from there.
You sound like an old man.
I feel old, man.
Well, that's because you've been paying.
Out.
You've done a good job. You're paying attention. You're seeing how the market goes, and after a while, there are patterns to markets, and a lot of the patterns that are happening now no longer follow what they should.
Past patterns.
Yeah.
At all.
No.
Yeah.
And that's why I talk about the 15-year super cycle, because it's like that's the only explanation.
Logic should not be honestly, logic shouldn't play much of a role in your decision making right now. It should
No.
just be, what is everybody else doing?
And that's the
Pricing is probably your best bet.
I believe pricing is going up right now.
Yeah, I feel like it is going up right now.
And
I don't know how
that's-
much higher it can go, and that's my personal opinion, but this thing could be 30% higher in 2 years.
It could.
At some point, though, we got to have a little bit of a deflation cycle.
But if you compare
we
Seattle
do.
to the other major metropolitan markets around the United States,
Yeah,
we're pretty cheap. And
it's true. But
this is a really
what
good,
if all those markets all need 25% worth of? That could happen. Right?
Yeah, but you've got the lifestyle factor here. People want to live here.
That's true.
They want to take mini cruises on a boat with a mean from Summit Properties Northwest.
It's true. It's true. Probably a good place to.
I mean, once this is all over, what's the number one thing you're looking forward to doing after the...
Getting back in the gym, man.
Oh.
Are you kidding?
Oh.
Dude, not being able to work out, that's been half the problem.
So we found a gym that will go unnamed.
Hey, please.
That is kind of open.
No shit.
Kind of like the haircut guy up in Bob Martin up in Snohomish.
Yeah. Well, when we
You
shut
hear about-
these off, I'm going to have to get your...
Yeah, I've been doing some home workouts, but they're not the same.
No, they're not. Absolutely not. And you're stomping on your neighbors. I live in an apartment building.
Okay,
Just
yeah.
crushing my neighbors below me when I'm doing
They
a
must
burpee.
love, yeah.
Oh.
Well, I mean, thank you so much for
Yep.
coming on the Seattle Real Estate Podcast. Always nice talking with you. And as your projects come up, don't hesitate to reach out to us, and we'll do the full-on walkthrough video. Love to work with you on that.
Yeah.
Get you some
Great.
media out there. You're doing a great job getting your product for your builder and getting it sold on the other end.
Yeah.
So hats off to you. Job well done.
Thank you. And
Yep.
it's been great being at Summit Properties. It's been
Thank you. Yeah, we like
a great
having you.
career move for me. It's been about,
good.
3 years now?
I think so.
Two
And
and a
you
half, 3
came
years.
from Remax, right?
From a very good brokerage.
Yeah.
A long-standing Seattle brokerage, which is still a great place to be, but I'd much rather be here.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I
Thank you.
appreciate you making the choice of Summit Properties. We love having you. And love to have you on the podcast again post the Rona.
post the
How's that?
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, if any of us survive.
Yeah. Thanks, Amin, for coming on.
Signing off.
I'm Sean Reynolds, the owner of Summit Properties and Reynolds & Klein Appraisal. Thanks for tuning in on the audio portion on our podcast platform and on YouTube watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Thanks again. Bye. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you'll know when our next video is out.